Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That quiet voice inside you that keeps asking, is this really my life? I need you to silence everything else and hear what I'm about to say, because something is shifting. Not eventually, not someday, now. The enemy has been working overtime this week for one reason, and one reason only. He sees who you are becoming, and he is terrified of the version of you that is about to emerge. It all ends soon. The confusion about your identity, the grief over the person you used to be, the exhaustion of trying to hold together a version of yourself that God is already dismantling. But listen carefully, because this is the part that changes everything. It is not ending because circumstances finally cooperated. It is ending because of what you have been doing in the dark, in the quiet, in the moments nobody witnessed. Think back to that moment this week when you almost introduced yourself the old way, when you almost apologized for wanting more, when you almost shrunk yourself back into the container that stopped fitting you months ago. You pulled back, you paused, you chose differently. You did not know it then, but that pause was a declaration. That small, quiet choice was you signing your name on a new covenant with heaven. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. God did. This is a divine appointment that was written into the blueprint of your life before you ever took your first breath. You are standing at the edge of a threshold, and what is on the other side of it will make everything you have been through make sense. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you the exact portrait of who you are becoming, so you can stop mourning the person you are leaving behind. I am going to walk you through the divine reconstruction that has already been happening inside you without your permission and without your awareness. And at the end, I am going to give you the decree that seals your new identity and permanently closes the door on the old one. Do not click away. Your future self is not asking you to stay. Your future self is begging you. Because if you leave now, you walk away from the mirror that finally shows you the truth. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has been strange. Not heavy exactly, but unsettled. Like standing in a room where all the furniture has been moved 2 inches, and nothing looks wrong, but nothing looks right either. Maybe you caught a glimpse of yourself in a mirror this week, and for one brief second, you did not recognize the person staring back at you, not because you looked different, because something behind your eyes has changed. Or maybe you were in a conversation with someone you have known for years, and you felt it. That quiet gap between who they think you are and who you actually are becoming. You smiled and nodded, but something inside you was already somewhere else. Already further along, already gone. You feel in between. Not the person you were a year ago, and not yet fully the person you sense yourself becoming. Suspended in the middle of a transformation so deep and so total that you cannot explain it to anyone around you because you do not have the words for it yet. And in this in-between place, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. He is telling you that the restlessness you feel is instability. He is pointing at your inconsistency over the last few months, the days you fell back into old patterns, the nights you entertained old thoughts, the moments you almost became who you used to be. And he is telling you that those moments are proof that nothing has actually changed. He is whispering that the transformation is an illusion, that you are the same person wearing new vocabulary, that everyone who believes in your evolution is going to be disappointed. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, "And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." Listen to that. Being transformed. Present tense. Active. ongoing, not a moment, a process. And with ever-increasing glory, meaning every single step, including the steps that looked like stumbling, has been adding to what God is building in you, not subtracting from it, adding to it. The enemy wants you to audit your transformation by your worst moments. God is measuring it by the trajectory. You are not the same. The confusion you feel is not evidence that nothing changed. It is evidence that the change is so profound, your own mind has not caught up to it yet. The version of you that is coming is going to require a completely new frame of reference. That is why you feel disoriented. You are not lost. You are being reoriented. The restlessness you feel is not instability. It is expansion. It is the sensation of a life that has outgrown its current container, pressing against the walls, needing more space, more room, more air. You think the in-between is the problem, but the in-between is the process. And the process is almost complete. You are not going to recognize yourself, and that is not a warning. That is a promise. God doesn't reveal things by accident. If this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, the Chosen One's blueprint was written for this exact moment in your journey. 8 chapters that decode why your life unfolded the way it did, and what God is activating next. Listen to the full audiobook version in your own time and receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a bonus guide for those God is raising as prophetic voices in this generation. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it won't stay there forever. Now let's go deeper, because the reorientation you are experiencing is not random and it is not chaotic, even though it feels that way from the inside. From within the tempest, it can seem like everything is unraveling, a relentless storm tearing at the very fabric of your known world. But I assure you, beneath the surface of this perceived disarray, there is a meticulous architecture to what God does when He is preparing someone for something they have never carried before. Imagine a master builder laying foundations for a magnificent edifice, a structure far grander than anything that has stood on that site before. Much of the crucial work happens unseen, deep in the earth, forming an unshakable base. And the very first thing He does, before He opens any door to a new opportunity, before He releases any assignment that will stretch you, before He shifts any external circumstance that defines your comfort zone, is He changes how you see yourself in the dark. Not on the illuminated stage where applause might echo, not in the highlight reel moments where success is undeniable and celebrated, but in the most intimate, private ones, the ones shrouded in shadow and silence, the moments no one applauds, no one witnesses, no one even knows about. It is in these secret chambers of the soul, where the spirit wrestles with its own reflection, that God begins His profound work of redefinition. He reshapes your internal landscape, allowing you to perceive your true essence, not through the transient lens of public opinion, but through the eternal gaze of your Creator, even when the world around you offers no confirmation, only the stark, honest reflection of solitude. David understood this with a primal clarity that bypassed the need for human validation. Before he ever stood in front of a formidable king, before he ever faced the hulking menace of a giant, he was alone in a vast, sprawling field, an expansive canvas of quiet communion, talking to God while sheep grazed placidly around him. His days were not filled with fanfare or strategic planning sessions for future battles. There was no bustling audience to cheer him on. There was no scribe meticulously recording his every prayer or thought. There was no one watching him practice his sling with painstaking repetition, honing his aim on unseen targets, or composing the psalms that would one day soothe the souls of generations, or wrestling with his deep-seated theology under an open, star-strewn sky. Yet heaven was watching. The celestial realms were attentive observers. And every quiet moment of faithfulness, every whispered prayer, every act of trust in the unseen, every tear shed in solitary contemplation was being written into a divine record. This sacred ledger would one day justify every promotion God had meticulously scheduled for his life. David did not merely prepare for the giant by practicing with a sling. He became someone through these profound seasons of obscurity that the giant could not stop. He was forged in the fire of solitude, molded by the hands of the Almighty in the hidden spaces. And that becoming, that deep, irreversible transformation of character and spirit happened not in grand spectacle, but in obscurity, in the mundane ordinary, in the often overlooked, yet utterly essential, in-between moments of life. That is precisely where you have been, perhaps without fully realizing the gravity and grace of it. And what you have been doing there, the internal work, the unseen battles, the quiet growth, matters infinitely more than you currently know or can perceive. But here is where it goes deeper, spiraling into a more profound truth. Because most people understand faithfulness in the dark as something noble, yes, but often something they simply endure, a trial to be suffered until the longed-for light finally breaks through. What they fundamentally miss is that the dark is not merely a passive waiting room where time must be marked off until your number is called. No, the dark is the workshop. It is the divine forge, the sacred crucible, where the raw materials of your life are subjected to intense heat and pressure, not to break you, but to refine you. The suffering you have experienced is not an obstacle to your purpose, a detour diverting you from your true path. On the contrary, the suffering has been the curriculum itself, the essential course material in the divine academy of your calling. Every moment you felt overlooked, like a forgotten stone in a vast landscape. Every season that felt barren and unproductive, like a desert stretching endlessly before you. Every relationship that unexpectedly dismantled you, leaving you in pieces. Every version of yourself you had to grieve and let go of. None of it, not a single solitary moment, was punishment for some unseen transgression. All of it, every sharp edge and searing pain, was precision. It was the precise cut of the divine sculptor's chisel, the exact temperature of the refiner's fire. God does not waste pain on people he is not building for something truly significant. He only allows the fire to rage and consume in the lives of people he profoundly trusts, with what comes out of it. The purified gold, the tempered steel, the unshakable character. He trusts you with the transformation, knowing you have the capacity to carry the weight and glory of what emerges from the depths of the crucible. And this intricate understanding of suffering as curriculum leads us to something that most people spend years, sometimes even decades, instinctively avoiding, actively resisting the deep introspection it demands. You have been grieving the wrong thing, dear one. You have been standing at the emotional and spiritual graveside of a version of yourself, mourning the profound loss of who you used to be, the familiar comfort of past relationships that once made perfect sense within that former identity, the crystal-clear clarity that came with a simpler, less complex sense of self. And in that deep, aching grief, the pervasive feeling has been one of failure, as if you somehow lost something precious and irreplaceable through your own fault. But I need to challenge you with a radical truth, one that shifts the very ground beneath your feet. What if the version of you that died was not the real you at all? What if everything you lost, everything that crumbled and fell away, was actually scaffolding? Think of it. Scaffolding is not the building itself. It is the temporary external support structure, crucial and necessary, that holds things in place and provides access points while the magnificent true building is being carefully constructed underneath, out of sight. And when that divine building, the authentic you, is finally ready, strong and complete, the scaffolding has to come down, not because it failed in its purpose. On the contrary, it comes down precisely because it finished its job with impeccable success. The relationships that gracefully, or sometimes brutally, fell away, leaving voids in their wake. The ambitions that, once burning brightly, mysteriously dissolved into nothingness. The certainties that once felt like unshakable bedrock, yet crumbled into dust. All of them. They were scaffolding. They were never designed or intended to be permanent fixtures in the grand design of your life. They were the temporary structures, divinely engineered, that God skillfully used to hold you together, to give you a framework, while He meticulously built the real thing, the indestructible, authentic you, underneath. And now, precisely now, the scaffolding is coming down. It's not a sign of collapse, but a trumpet call of completion. It's coming down because the genuine structure beneath it, the person God has been forging you to be, is finally strong enough to stand vibrantly on its own, unveiled and magnificent. So I implore you, with the deepest spiritual empathy, stop mourning the scaffolding, celebrate its completion and the enduring masterpiece it helped bring forth. Now, once you truly understand that profound truth, that the losses were necessary removals of temporary structures to reveal something eternal, you are ready for this next layer of revelation. And I urge you to stay with me, to lean in deeply, because what I am about to share is the foundational layer underneath everything we have talked about so far. It is the hidden truth, often obscured, the one most people never quite reach, forever orbiting its periphery without ever landing. There is a pervasive lie that lives far deeper than the superficial whispers the enemy might use to condemn your perceived inconsistency. It lives deeper than the insidious lie about your inherent worthiness, deeper still than the anxieties surrounding your divine timing. This is a lie so deeply embedded in the very fabric of your spiritual identity that it no longer even registers in your conscious mind as a falsehood. It feels instead like profound humility. It sounds to the discerning ear like impeccable wisdom. It presents itself with compelling conviction as spiritual discernment, a holy posture. But it is none of those things. The lie in its chilling simplicity is this: you have been conditioned, perhaps since childhood, to believe that wanting more from life, from God, from yourself, is a subtle form of ingratitude, a spiritual offense. That desiring a larger life, a deeper, more resonant purpose, a greater impact on the world, is somehow prideful, a dangerous aspiration. You have been told, implicitly or explicitly, that the holiest, most spiritual response to difficulty, to limitation, to challenge, is to make peace with smallness. And so, every single time the sacred hunger inside you rose up, that undeniable spiritual yearning to create, to lead, to speak with authority, to build something impactful, to express and be more fully yourself in the world, you instinctively pressed it back down. You suppressed it, you silenced it, and you called that agonizing act of self-extinguishment surrender. You dressed your profound, often unconscious fear of expansion in the palatable language of faithfulness. You called your withdrawal from potential and possibility obedience. You named your self-imposed silence as peace, when in the deepest chambers of your spirit, what it actually was a deeply ingrained habitual pattern of self-protection. Think of Moses, a man whose life perfectly illustrates this dangerous deception. He spent 40 long, arduous years in the wilderness after fleeing the raw power of Egypt, tending another man's flock, living what was undeniably a borrowed, diminished life. He had convinced himself, through the relentless grind of those decades, that his moment, the fiery calling of his youth, had irrevocably passed him by. The potent hunger he once had to free his people from bondage, to lead them into a promised land, he buried it deep beneath the mundane weight of the ordinary. He painstakingly made peace with smallness, constructing a life of comfortable, albeit unfulfilling, routine. And when God, the God of fire and thunder, suddenly showed up in the transcendent spectacle of the burning bush, Moses did not, as one might expect from a man burdened by such a powerful, suppressed destiny, run toward it with fire in his eyes, eager to reclaim his purpose. No, he argued. He listed with meticulous detail every perceived limitation, every inadequacy. He told the creator of the universe that he was the absolute wrong person for the monumental assignment. Why? Because the relentless years of smallness, the sustained season of self-imposed limitation, had effectively taught him to distrust that primal hunger. He had learned to interpret it as a dangerous, prideful impulse rather than a divine prompt. But the hunger, that deep yearning within him, was never pride. The hunger was prophecy. The hunger was God's own burning desire, a divine spark, moving inexplicably through a human being, pressing inexorably toward its magnificent fulfillment. Your hunger, beloved, is not pride. Your hunger is prophecy, and that profound shift in understanding, right there, that reframing of an internal truth, is one of the most important things you will hear today, a revelation that can reorient your entire spiritual compass. Because coming up in just a moment is the revelation that explains with crystalline clarity why the people closest to you, those in your immediate intimate circle, could not and would not confirm what God was saying about you, what He was doing in you, and why that silence, which often felt like rejection or abandonment, was actually a meticulously orchestrated act of divine protection, not a sign of your unworthiness. But first, this foundational truth has to truly land, settling deep into the bedrock of your spirit. The hunger you have been suppressing, the profound, unfulfilled longing, whether it has been for deep, visceral healing, for a clear, undeniable purpose, for a love that truly sees and embraces the real you, for the expansive, vibrant life you kept sketching in your mind's eye, only to meticulously erase it, fearing its audacity. That hunger was never a distraction from God's will. It was, from its very inception, a direct, undeniable direction from God Himself. He carefully placed it within you, like a sacred seed in fertile ground. He tends it with divine care, a celestial gardener nurturing a precious bloom. He uses it, this internal, insistent yearning, to move you forward, to propel you into uncharted territories, when absolutely nothing else will suffice. And the very moment you stop treating your own deepest hunger as suspect, as a carnal impulse to be subdued, you will finally cease fighting the very force, the divine current, that was designed by the Almighty to carry you with power and purpose into your next season of destiny. Now, let's explore something equally critical that most people do not understand about the perplexing silence of those closest to them, the perceived lack of affirmation from those whose opinions you value most. When God is preparing someone for a specific, often groundbreaking assignment, He frequently, and with deliberate intention, withholds clear confirmation from the people in their immediate, intimate circle. This is not done to cause pain, nor is it an oversight or a cosmic error. Rather, it is a profound act of divine protection, a safeguarding of your nascent calling. Consider this. If the people around you had fully seen and enthusiastically confirmed what God was diligently building in you too early, before your spiritual roots had deepened, you would, in all likelihood, have inadvertently built your nascent identity and your sense of purpose around their approval, around their transient validation, instead of around the intrinsic, unwavering authority of the assignment itself. You would have unconsciously needed their ongoing validation, their constant affirmation, to keep moving forward. And tragically, at the very first sign of their inevitable doubt, their skepticism, or their lack of understanding, you would have likely stopped, abandoning the very path God had designed for you. God sealed your calling from certain human eyes on purpose, as if placing a protective veil over a sacred object. He guarded it, keeping it hidden from premature exposure. He allowed you to carry it alone, often through seasons where it felt overwhelmingly like pure delusion, a whisper of madness in a world demanding tangible proof. He did this because he was diligently building something deeply profound within you, an internal knowing, an unshakable conviction that external confirmation cannot give and external rejection cannot possibly take away. The confirmation that is rooted in human applause, in the fickle nature of popular opinion, will always be vulnerable to the eventual ebb and flow of human silence, to changing tides and shifting allegiances. But the knowing that was forged in the purifying fire of solitude, hammered out on the anvil of loneliness, that deep intuitive certainty that knowing is indestructible, an unassailable fortress within your spirit. Think of Joseph, whose dreams of leadership were met with the bitter envy of his brothers, leading to his abandonment and enslavement. His anointing was not seen, but despised. Pharaoh's butler, whom Joseph helped, forgot him completely once he was released from prison. The very people who should have spoken up, who should have championed him, stayed conspicuously quiet, their silence echoing the weight of his solitary journey. But not one of those silences, not one act of betrayal or forgetfulness, delayed what God had intricately written into the scroll of his destiny. On the contrary, every single one of them was an integral part of it. The silence was not the absence of God's blessing. The silence was, paradoxically, the very shape of it, molding and protecting him for the appointed time. And this profound truth brings us to the real turning point, the pivotal understanding, the one that possesses the power to completely change how you interpret every season that has come before this one, every trial, every moment of perceived stagnation. You have been instinctively measuring your spiritual progress by momentum, by the outward appearance of things, by how it feels in your emotional landscape, by whether you consistently sense clarity and confidence and tangible forward motion. And on the days when that feeling of momentum inexplicably disappears, on the days when the spiritual atmosphere feels impossibly heavy, a leaden blanket suffocating your hope, when prayer feels like talking into an impenetrable wall, receiving no echo, when your faith feels thin and mechanical, a mere ritual devoid of life, you have invariably interpreted that absence, that spiritual void, as distance, as God pulling back from you, as conclusive evidence that something profound in you has broken, or that you have tragically failed some invisible spiritual threshold, thereby forfeiting your place. But there is an ancient principle, beautifully illustrated in the story of the prophet Elijah, that completely reframes this entire perspective, overturning conventional wisdom. After his greatest, most dramatic victory, after the fire of God fell miraculously on Mount Carmel, consuming the offering and silencing 450 false prophets of Baal, after the long-awaited rain finally broke a 3-year drought, an undeniable display of divine power, what did this mighty prophet do? He did not bask in the glory or embark on a new wave of ministry. Instead, he sat under a solitary juniper tree in the wilderness and in a moment of utter raw human depletion asked God to let him die. He was not, understand this clearly, in sin. He was not in rebellion against God's will. He was in profound, soul-wearying depletion, a state of spiritual and emotional exhaustion after immense expenditure of spiritual energy. And what did God, in his infinite wisdom and compassion, do in response to this desperate cry? He did not rebuke him for his lack of faith. He did not harshly remind him of his recent spectacular victories, leveraging them as a tool of guilt. He did not send a word of correction or a challenging command to rise up and fight. Instead, he sent an angel. And the angel brought simple, nourishing bread and refreshing water. And with gentle authority, he said, "Get up and eat, because the journey is too great for you. The silence you have been in, the stillness you have experienced, the profound lack of external momentum. It is not withdrawal on God's part. It is not abandonment. It is, in its purest form, provision. God has been meticulously giving you bread for the long road ahead, fortifying your inner man for what is to come. He has been silently, sovereignly restoring your strength, rebuilding your reserves for a journey he knows is ahead of you, a distance you do not yet even know you are about to travel." The stillness was not an absence of divine activity. It was a deeply strategic preparation for an expanse, a magnitude of purpose that awaits your arrival. It was the quiet, unseen fueling of your spirit for the race you are divinely appointed to run. Stay with me. Lean in even closer. Because what comes next is the part that breaks generational cycles, shatters inherited patterns, and sets you truly free. And it is, tragically, the one thing most people sit with for years, carrying its invisible weight, without ever truly naming it directly, without giving it voice. There is a subtle, insidious pattern that lives in the ambiguous, often uncomfortable space between who you are right now and who you are divinely becoming. And what makes it so treacherous is that it does not present itself as rebellion. It does not look like overt disobedience to God's clear leading. Instead, it cunningly disguises itself. It looks like profound loyalty. It feels like deep, enduring love. It even appears responsible and kind, exhibiting a veneer of spiritual maturity. But I declare to you, with divine authority, it is none of those things. It is the insidious pattern of staying deeply connected, intimately tethered to what God has already, unequivocally, released you from. And you do this not because you are weak, not because you lack courage, but paradoxically, because you are faithful to a fault. Your capacity for covenant, your natural inclination towards enduring loyalty, has become a weapon against your own future. You continue to tend, with meticulous care, relationships that heaven has already definitively closed, their seasons complete. You keep returning to conversations that no longer have a destination, cycles of dialogue that lead nowhere but back to the beginning. You continually find yourself explaining yourself, offering justifications to people who are simply not assigned to your next chapter, whose understanding is no longer required for your forward movement. This is because somewhere deep inside your beautiful, loyal heart, the thought of leaving without a perfect, universally accepted explanation feels profoundly like abandonment. And so, you would rather, often unconsciously, delay your own destiny, sacrificing your divine trajectory, than let anyone you care about feel abandoned by you. This, I must emphasize, is not a character flaw. This deep, inherent capacity for loyalty is actually one of the most beautiful, most extraordinary things about who you are, a shining facet of your divine design. But in this specific season, this precious attribute is being weaponized against your future, subtly undermining your forward momentum. The very same capacity for deep, unwavering loyalty that makes you an extraordinary friend, a faithful partner, an unparalleled covenant keeper, is precisely what is keeping you tethered, like an anchor to a forgotten port, to places and people God finished with months, even years ago. And the reason this pattern is so incredibly difficult to name, to identify, and to then dismantle is precisely because it does not feel like fear. It feels, with such powerful conviction, like love. But I need you to hear this truth, etched into the very fabric of your spirit. Release is not rejection. Outgrowing a season, a relationship, an identity is not betrayal. Moving forward into your divine purpose is not abandonment. The single most loving, most responsible, most honoring thing you can possibly do for the people you are called to leave behind in a previous season is to become everything God made you to be. Because the fullness of who you become, the radiant, unveiled you, will eventually and inevitably reach back and touch the very people you are afraid to leave, inspiring them, illuminating their path in ways your stunted presence never could. You do not bless anyone, you do not truly serve anyone by shrinking your magnificent spirit to fit into small spaces. You do not honor anyone by staying out of misplaced loyalty in a season that God has already definitively ended. And when you choose to fully embody your destiny, your light shines so brightly that it casts a warm, inviting glow on those you leave behind, showing them the way to their own liberation and growth. And here is where everything fundamentally shifts, the ground beneath your feet changing from shifting sand to solid rock. You have been for far too long treating your destiny, your sacred calling, as something you are perpetually trying to earn, a prize to be won through relentless effort. You have been approaching your divine assignment as if God is perpetually watching your performance, meticulously grading your consistency, relentlessly tallying your failures, and then, based on your flawed spiritual track record, deciding whether you genuinely deserve what He so generously promised. And so, you have been striving, you have been tirelessly working, you have been desperately proving, you have been exhaustingly demonstrating. You have been trying with every fiber of your being to show Him, and if we are truly honest with ourselves, trying to convince yourself that you are finally ready, that you have fixed enough, healed enough, changed enough to finally qualify for the magnificent inheritance that awaits. But here is the breathtaking, divine contradiction, a paradox that shatters the chains of striving. You cannot possibly earn what was assigned to you before you were even born, before your earthly journey began. You cannot qualify for what God already, in His eternal sovereignty, qualified you for in the timeless realms of eternity itself. The calling on your life is not a reward for your obedience, a trophy for your spiritual performance. It is the original, immutable intention of the One who exquisitely made you, already decided, already written into the fabric of your being, already sealed with divine authority, before you ever had a chance to succeed or fail, to stumble or soar. Your relentless striving, your exhausting efforts to prove yourself are not unlocking a door that was once closed. They are, tragically, wearing you out in front of a door that has been wide open the entire time, waiting patiently for your recognition. What God is genuinely asking you to do in this pivotal moment is not to perform better, to ramp up your spiritual efforts. He is asking you to believe differently, to fundamentally shift your internal framework, to stop approaching His lavish promises as if they are elusive prizes you must relentlessly pursue and win, and to instead start receiving them as if they are indisputable inheritances. Think about it. An inheritance is not granted because you were good enough, because you met some stringent criteria of worthiness. It is given solely because of whose child you are, because of your rightful legal connection to the giver. And you, beloved, are a child of the Most High God, not a hopeful candidate, not a tentative prospect, not someone under review, anxiously awaiting a verdict. A child. You are a son, a daughter, bearing the indelible mark of your divine Father. And the door that has been standing open, patiently waiting in front of you, has not been waiting for your perfection, for you to flawlessly iron out every wrinkle in your life. It has been waiting for your simple yet profound permission, your willingness to walk through it, to step across the threshold, without having all the answers neatly packaged and understood. Your courageous decision to step forward in faith, even before the last vestiges of fear fully dissolve. Because the fear, you must understand, does not magically go away before you take that first brave step. The fear goes away precisely because you step. It dissipates in the wake of your courageous movement, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. And now, here is the part you probably did not expect. The revelation that pierces through layers of self-deception and false security. The thing that has truly been blocking your breakthrough, acting as an invisible barrier to your next season, is not the external enemy, though that force is real. It is not your past, though its shadows can loom large. It is not even the people who have hurt you, though their wounds run deep. It is not even the stubborn patterns you have been tirelessly trying to break. No, the thing that has been blocking you with cunning subtlety is the version of yourself you have been meticulously protecting. There is a deeply ingrained self-concept, a collection of beliefs about who you are, what you are genuinely capable of, what you are truly allowed to want, how much space you are inherently allowed to take up in the world, that you have been fiercely guarding, nurturing like a fragile flame. Not consciously, not with deliberate intent or malicious purpose, but deeply woven into the very fabric of your subconscious. And you have been protecting it, clinging to it, because that self-concept, as limited as it is, as painful and confining as it has often been, is familiar. And familiarity, even when it is a worn, uncomfortable garment, feels like safety, even when in reality it is a meticulously constructed prison. God has not been patiently waiting for your external circumstances to magically change, for the world around you to align perfectly before He moves. He has been waiting for you to be willing, truly willing, to let go of the version of yourself that was never, ever meant to be permanent. The one that was inadvertently shaped and defined by what happened to you, by the traumas and narratives of others, instead of by what He, your Creator, definitively said about you. The one that, out of necessity, learned to survive by staying small, by remaining inconspicuous. That version, let's acknowledge it, served you once. It was a crucial protective shell that kept you alive, shielded your tender spirit, and allowed you to navigate through seasons that could have utterly destroyed you. Honor it for that vital role. Give it a deep bow of gratitude for its service, and then, with profound intention, release it. Because the person standing on the other side of this moment, the person on the threshold of this glorious unveiling, is not someone you are strenuously trying to become, an aspiration always just out of reach. It is someone you already inherently are, underneath all the accumulated layers that suffering and fear and other people's limitations, projections, and opinions mistakenly placed on top of you, obscuring your divine brilliance. You were not made for mere survival, for merely existing within the confines of fear and expectation. You were made from the very blueprint of your being, for glory. Not the superficial performance of glory, not the fleeting applause of man, but the genuine, unhurried, unstriving, deeply rooted, and eternally resonant kind of glory that flows naturally from a life lived in full, authentic alignment with the one who exquisitely designed it. That is what is patiently waiting for you. That is what this entire season, with all its complexities and challenges, has been diligently building toward, like a divine symphony approaching its crescendo. And it begins, not when all your external circumstances perfectly cooperate, not when all your doubts magically disappear, but the very moment you profoundly decide, in the deepest chambers of your heart, that you truly believe it. Place your hand on your heart now. Feel the steady rhythm of your spirit and declare this with me, not just with your lips, but with the full force of your liberated soul. I release the version of myself that was built by my wounds, I release the labels that were never mine to carry, the limitations that were never mine to accept, the smallness that was never mine to inhabit. I break every agreement I made with the lie that I was too much, not enough, too late, too far gone. I declare that my hunger is holy. My delay was not rejection. My process was not punishment. My suffering was curriculum for a calling I am now ready to carry. I step out of the in-between and into the fullness of who I was created to be. I walk through the open door, not because I have it all figured out, but because I know who opened it. I trust the one who assigned my name before I had a face. I receive my inheritance. I accept my identity. I walk forward in the authority of a child of the Most High God. The old version has been honored and released. The new version begins today, not tomorrow, not when I feel ready. Today. That declaration was not a performance. It was a transaction. Something moved in the spirit just now, and heaven registered it. Do not take it back. Do not walk out of this room and return to the familiar smallness. You have just signed your name on something eternal. If something in your spirit is still burning after this message ends, that fire is not random. That is confirmation. And if you are ready to go deeper into the blueprint God wrote for your life, the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your assignment, the Chosen One's blueprint is linked in the first pinned comment below. It includes the full audiobook, so you can carry this revelation with you, and a powerful bonus guide for those who sense a prophetic fire rising inside them that they have not yet learned to release. The link is there now, but only for a limited time. You did not find this message by accident, and you did not stay this long by accident. Now, walk through the door.